On the 21st of July 2025, the Nigerian entertainment industry was thrown into confusion and unrest following the arrest of Nollywood actor Jerry Williams by the Benin City Police Command. While many assumed it was a typical case of celebrity scandal, the circumstances surrounding his arrest quickly took a darker and more complicated turn. Some of his colleagues took to social media in panic, raising alarm and questioning the legitimacy of the situation. A few even described it as a case of kidnapping, not arrest. But beneath the noise, what remains clear was this: something wasn't adding up. In this video, we will reveal the truth and the interior motive behind his arrest. You will know truly who is using him and who is helping him. The true story behind Jerry's arrest begins far from the sirens and headlines. It started in a quiet hospital room where he was undergoing rehabilitation. According to filmmaker and fellow actor Nwafo Frankly, popularly known as Etiko, Jerry had personally pleaded to be discharged from the facility. He didn't just want freedom, he was desperate for a second chance and he begged for it. In a moment Benny believed was sincere, Jerry reportedly promised Etiko that if he was released, he would hand over full control of his professional affairs to him, not just as a manager, but as a trusted figure who could keep an eye on his journey, monitor his recovery, and guide his return to the industry. There was an understanding, clear, verbal, and witnessed by members of Jerry's own family, that if he ever returned to drug use, he could be taken back to the hospital without warning or resistance. This wasn't just a conversation, it was formalized. Jerry Williams signed an undertaking in the hospital, accepting the terms and conditions tied to his own redemption. The document was simple but heavy. If he relapsed, he would face immediate consequences. No drama, no second negotiation. After the agreement, Etiko made what many saw as a bold move. He went public. In a video shared online, Jerry stood beside him, looking healthier than he had in months, confirming the change. He told his fans that he was back and better. Etiko also used the moment to inform producers and directors that all professional bookings for Jerry should go through him moving forward. Jerry didn't resist. He nodded, smiled faintly, and pointed to Etiko, silently affirming him as the one in charge. When news spread that Jerry Williams was officially back from rehab with a fresh face and a second chance in his pocket, it didn't take long for the industry to react. The first to jump in and celebrate his return was none other than Stanley On Top, a filmmaker and associate who had known Jerry from earlier days. Without wasting time, Stanley took to social media to announce Jerry's comeback, calling on the industry to welcome him back and start booking him again. And just like that, the phone calls started pouring in. Stanley began receiving calls from producers, marketers, and directors, some genuinely excited, others maybe just curious to see what post-rehab Jerry looked like on set. Some probably hoped he would still cry those powerful tears on cue. Wanting to help, Stanley reached out to Etiko and requested Jerry's direct number so that he could connect these opportunities directly, but Etiko refused. That refusal marks the beginning of a slow burning tension. Stanley was confused. After all, he wasn't asking for Jerry's ATM PIN, just a number, but Etiko remained firm. Instead, he told Stanley to give the producers his number instead. If they truly wanted to work with Jerry, it was an awkward workaround, but Stanley agreed. He passed Etiko's number around, and within days, bookings started rolling in like Lagos traffic on Monday morning. In less than a week, 4 different producers locked in Jerry Williams for new movie roles, each one paid through Etiko. And just like that, Jerry, who had been in the background fighting for his life only months ago, was back on set, lights on him, script in hand. It looked like a win. 500,000 naira per role for bookings and a total 2.5 million naira, not a bad way to start. But there was a twist. Jerry's price had dropped. Before everything, Jerry was charging 800,000 naira per role. But now, with his name freshly out of rehab and his career still under a microscope, things weren't so straightforward. According to Etiko, several producers were offering Jerry 300,000 naira, and in one case, someone even had the boldness to price him 150,000, as if he had just finished NYSC and was doing movie internship. To avoid further embarrassment and confusion, Edochie made a managerial decision. He slashed Jerry's rates to a flat 500,000 naira, not because Jerry wasn't worth more, but to reintroduce him gradually without underselling him or creating more chaos. The plan was simple: let Jerry do a few movies at that rate, 4 or 5, and then once the market saw the quality of his performance, they could push the price back up to 800,000 naira or maybe even higher. Jerry was reportedly in full agreement. It wasn't about the money right now. It was about rebuilding trust, rebuilding image, rebuilding career, and if a temporary discount was what it took to get there, so be it. Still, in the background, there were whispers. Some insiders wondered why Stanley, who brought in the jobs, was suddenly being sidelined from the negotiation table. Others questioned whether the full amounts were being remitted accurately. The bookings were coming in, yes, but who was really managing the engine room? What started as a cooperative effort was slowly turning into a delicate dance of power, trust and control. Jerry, caught in the middle, was just trying to do his job. But around him, a silent tug of war was unfolding. Just when it seemed like things were stabilizing, another wave of tension began to build. This time, from an unexpected corner, Edochie, who had been managing Jerry Williams' comeback with strategic precision and strict oversight, got a phone call that shifted the tone of everything. Word reached him that Jerry was working on a new film production, this time under the direction of Annie Amatosero, popularly known in the industry as Real Efeezy Boss. To be sure, Edochie didn't jump to conclusion. He picked up this phone and called her directly to confirm. Annie admitted it. Yes, Jerry was currently on her set, actively filming. But what seemed like a simple confirmation quickly spiraled into something else entirely. Days later, Edochie got wind of something more disturbing. Jerry Williams was reportedly back to using drugs, not at home, not in secret, but on the same set managed by Annie Efeezy. For someone who had just come out of rehab, this wasn't just a relapse. It was a public undoing of months of efforts, trust, and sacrifice. Edochie was furious. It wasn't just about Jerry working without his knowledge. It was about everything they had agreed to, thrown aside. The very purpose of the agreements, the monitoring, the supervision, the structured return was being ignored. For Edochie, this wasn't just a breach of trust, it was sabotage. He questions how Jerry got on that set without him being informed. There had been a clear agreement. No production would involve Jerry without going through his manager. But here was a case where Jerry had quietly accepted a role, disappeared onto the set, and was now being spotted engaging in the same behavior that sent him to rehab in the first place. And if that wasn't bad enough, there was more. Jerry wasn't even paid his artist fee for appearing in that production. Nobody knew what amount had been agreed upon, or if any amount had even been mentioned at all. In an industry where word spreads fast and reputations are built on consistency, this could cause irreversible damage. For a recovering actor trying to bounce back, charging below the agreed 500,000 naira rate, especially on his first project post-rehab, wasn't just bad for business, it was dangerous. Other producers could take that figure and run with it, using it as a reference point to undercut future deals. It wasn't about greed, it was about structure, recovery, and setting a clear boundary for what Jerry's comeback would look like. And then came uncomfortable question. Why would Jerry, a man known for never stepping onto a movie set without first receiving his full payment, suddenly agree to work for free or without proper arrangement? Edochie couldn't help but wonder. Was it a favor? Was it pressure? Or had something else been offered to him in place of money? The unspoken suspicion hung in the air. Could it be that drugs were the real incentive? It was a thought too heavy to confirm, too dangerous to ignore. For someone like Jerry, still on the fragile road to recovery, even the smallest compromise could become a complete derailment. Edochie's frustration wasn't just managerial, it was personal. He had stuck out his neck to bring Jerry back. He'd negotiated deals, defended his name, and restructured his career to give him a second chance. Watching that unravel because of one unauthorized film set and one overlooked promise was not just disappointing, it was heartbreaking, and now the cracks were becoming visible. Amidst growing tension and conflicting claims, Annie Efizi steps forward to defend her name and her set. She firmly denied all allegations that Jerry Williams had taken drugs while filming on their production. According to her, she was present on set every day, personally watching Jerry and even assigning her manager to keep an eye on him. She insisted there was no opportunity for such behavior to go unnoticed. Annie explained that several people had reached out during production, calling to ask about Jerry's well-being, and each time, her response was consistent. Jerry was doing fine, and there was nothing unusual to report. If he was taking anything at all, she argued it was not on her set, maybe at home, maybe somewhere else, but not in her space. To her, Edochie's anger had little to do with Jerry's recovery and everything to do with money. She claimed he was trying to force himself into the business side of the Jerry's comeback, desperate to lock in a managerial cut from every booking. As far as she was concerned, Edochie cared more about getting his cut than actually protecting Jerry, because she saw Jerry telling him not to be his manager, but he kept pushing to manage him anyway. But behind the growing public back and forth was a much more serious truth. Jerry's family had quietly confirmed what Edochie had feared. Jerry was no longer clean. He had relapsed. They had seen it, they had heard it, they knew the signs, and now they were calling Edochie again. Not for bookings, not for career advice, but to help bring Jerry back to safety, back to rehab. At that point, Edochie was caught between two hard choices: protect Jerry's professional image or protect his life. But he also knew that Jerry was still working on a film set, fulfilling a commitment that had already been made. So he advised the family to let Jerry finish his scenes, just so they wouldn't burn the last bridge with producers who were still willing to give him a chance. The family agreed. For a moment, there was silence again. A plan was in place, but the calm didn't last long. On the day Jerry was arrested, everything happened within a window of minutes. Edochie called the production manager on Annie Efizi's set, asking a simple question: "Where are you shooting today?" The manager told him they were filming in town, somewhere within the city. Edochie held on to that information. He was trying to coordinate to know how the production was going. But then, just moments later, the same production manager called him back. She told him they were done. Jerry had finished his part the day before. It wasn't needed for any more scenes. It was a quiet but loaded moment. Edochie asked again, just to be sure, "Are you certain Jerry is done with your production?" And she confirmed it. Yes, completely done. No more scenes. No more need for him on set. That call changed everything. It meant Jerry was now unoccupied. It meant the window to intervene had opened. And it meant that whatever came next would no longer be delayed under the excuse of work. What followed was swift, and for Jerry Williams, life as he knew it was about to be interrupted again. After hanging up in the call with Annie Efizi's production manager, Edochie wasted no time. He immediately phoned Jerry Williams' family to deliver the news. Jerry had wrapped up his scenes and was officially done with the movie shoot. He asked them the all-important question: should we move now before another production ropes in? The family didn't hesitate. They swung into action. Within minutes, they had mobilized police officers to join the mission. Edochie led the team straight to Jerry Williams' house like a man on a divine assignment. But just as they reached Jerry's compound, Wahala entered stage left. A guy from Annie Efizi's camp, one Don's son, showed up, looking like someone sent from set to fetch Jerry for another shoot. Edochie was visibly confused. He confronted Don's son immediately, reminding him that their production manager confirmed Jerry's scenes were done. So why were they still dragging the poor guy around like he was a backup generator? Don's son didn't take it well. He started raising his voice, shouting at Edochie, possibly hoping neighbors would come outside and scatter the matter. He even called Annie Efizi on the spot to report the situation, but Edochie, backed by the police, stood firm. "We're taking him back to rehab today. No more delay," he insisted. The officers moved gently but swiftly, escorting Jerry into their vehicle. As soon as they left, the drama relocated online. Stanley on top was contacted and without wasting breath ran straight to social media. He posted that Jerry Williams had been kidnapped by unknown men with Benin police dogs. Just like that, Facebook and Instagram turned into CNN breaking news. Calls started flying. Benin police headquarters was contacted, and within minutes, roadblocks were mounted like it was a Nollywood action film. But when Etiko and the officers were stopped at a checkpoint, the story began to shift. After listening to Etiko and confirming the identities of the officers with him, the checkpoint officers nodded in agreement. This wasn't a kidnapping, this was a desperate intervention. They let the team pass. And eventually, Jerry Williams arrived safely at the rehab hospital. According to Etiko, this thing Jerry is going through isn't just about drugs or addiction, it's spiritual. In his words, this one passed normal eye. Now deliverance we did talk about now. In the end, the whole saga splits the internet like Gala and La Casera. On one side believes Annie Efizi only allowed Jerry Williams to keep using drugs on her set just because she wanted to film with him for free. No fee, no wahala, just vibes and footage. On the flip side, some believe that Etiko only dragged Jerry to rehab because the booking didn't go through him and he missed his managerial cut. For some, Etiko was the real one trying to save Jerry. For others, he was just pained he didn't collect his 10%. Who do you believe is right? Drop your opinion in the comments. This is the time to like this video. So if you enjoy the video, quickly hit the subscribe button and like this video. Then click on the video showing on the screen to watch the next video. Click it now before this very video ends, because if this video ends, it will go away. See you in the next video.